We are streaming live.
Good evening, and welcome to the first night of the candidate forum for the upcoming midterm elections, which are 22 days away. I am Anitra Hamilton, and I am the current president of the Morgantown-Kingwood branch of the NAACP, and it brings me great pleasure to be with you on tonight. Before we get started, I would like to applaud the efforts of the League of Women's Voters, who always put forth so much effort and energy into creating a great platform and forum to educate the people. Please note the League of Women Voters is nonpartisan, which means they do not support political parties or candidates. They do take position on policy issues. This year, the League is participating in an empty chair pilot sponsored by the League of Women Voters of West Virginia. Its purpose is to expand candidate participation and to emphasize impartiality. If only one candidate for an office agrees to participate in any forum, that forum will be canceled. Unfortunately, we were forced to cancel all 6 House of Delegate forums because of lack of participation. We believe in educating voters, and education comes from voters being able to hear from all sides. Tonight's forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Morgantown-Monongalia County, as well as the Morgantown-Kingwood branch of the NAACP and the Community Coalition for Social Justice. We would like to encourage everyone to please register to vote. The deadline to register is on tomorrow, October 18th. And as you can see on this screen, we have listed the website for you to register to vote. Election day is November 8th, which is 22 days away. It's approaching quickly. Early voting will take place October 26th through November 5th. And the locations where you can vote in Monongalia County will be the Mason-Dixon Park, which is located at 79 Buckeye Road in Core, the Mountaineer Mall at 5000 Greenback Road in Morgantown, and Ernst Dodge dealership at 2000 Mid-Atlantic Drive. Please note that the Westover VFW is no longer available as a voting site, as well as the Erickson Alumni Center. And I went there last time and it was empty, so please do not go there. Those 2 locations will not be available. For absentee ballots, please apply at govotewestvirginia.com. Ballots can be requested until November 2nd. To return your ballot, they must be postmarked by November 8th on Election Day, or you can hand deliver them to the county clerk no later than November the 7th. Some important contact information. The Mon County Clerk can be reached at 304-291-7230. The county courthouse is located at 243 High Street, and the website is monongaliacountyclerk.com. The West Virginia Secretary of State is apps.sos.westvirginia.gov, and the phone number is 304-558-6000. The format for tonight's forum is that we will have introductions, which will take place. Each introduction will be 2 minutes, followed by a round of questions that will be 2 minutes long, and we will conclude with closing statements, which will be 1.5 minutes. The candidates for tonight, and we're thankful that the candidates were able to be with us. We have with us tonight Susan Buchser-Lochoki, who's a write-in candidate, Alex Mooney, who could not be with us, and we have Barry Lee Wendell. So with our introductions, we're going to start with Susan. Susan, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to the League and all the other organizations taking part or collaborating on this forum today. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. So thank you very much. So I am Susan Buchser-Lochoki. I am running for U.S. House of Representatives here in West Virginia's newly formed 2nd District. I was originally a Republican candidate, but the Republicans nominated Mooney, and I decided my platform is just too important to stop. It's a platform I've been working on actually since 2020. I was also a presidential candidate in that election. I started off with the Green Party, and they chose Howie Hawkins to be the nominee. But I continued as a write-in. And anyway, my platform is very much based on women's issues. And that's why I just keep going, because I think a lot of what we hear today in the news stems around women's issues, but we don't have a lot of women in office working on these problems. And that might be part of the problem. So, one of our big issues is, of course, abortion, and when is it okay and when is it not? And then also education is a big issue, and getting in wars and out of wars. These are all issues that I'm concerned about, and I have some solutions. So one of the first things that is in my platform is to go through and clean up some of these old documents, frivolous documents we have. And we have a lot of them. So that's a lot of work, but we need to do it. I know it's not the best job, but somebody's got to do it. Then my other thing I want to do is bring back family. So that means, bringing back moms into the home, or at least a stay-home person to take care of the kids, because we've sort of got too involved in being out of the house, and we've
Susan,
seen
I'm
a
sorry,
lot
your
of the
time's up,
results.
sweetheart.
Sorry?
Your time's up.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's okay. We have to keep an eye on the screen. It'll give you clues that your time's coming to an end.
I'm only on a mobile phone, so I don't see everything.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'll give
somebody
you
could
clues.
signal, like.
I'll give you signals next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your introduction. Wendell, you're next.
Mute. Okay. First thing is that my last name is pronounced Wendell, and our family name once upon a time was Węglinski. It's a Polish name. We were actually Jewish in Poland, so I don't know where we got a pure Polish name, but we did. My father changed it before he married my mother 2 years before I was born. So it's Wendell in our family. I am the Democratic nominee for United States Congress in West Virginia's 2nd District. Previously, I ran for House of Delegates in 2016 and came in 8th of 8 in the Democratic primary, which meant I didn't go to the general election. But people came back to me the next year and said, would you consider being on the city council? And I said yes, and I served 2 terms on the city council. I was elected in 2017 and 2019, and I went off last year in 2021. I was running because I didn't want this to be a giveaway to the Republican Party. There are too many important issues. People have written off West Virginia as a totally red state, and it's not. In 2016, when I was running for office, I saw Bernie Sanders twice, and he was mobbed by people in Charleston and in Morgantown, both times when I saw him. So when people say the Democratic Party can't win here, I don't believe that that's true. Thank you. So my Republican opponent, who's an incumbent, has not done anything that I could see for West Virginia. He's voted against any infrastructure project, anything that would help veterans, anything that would help coal miners, against the child care, extended child care tax credit. And we need to do things to help people in West Virginia. And that's the main thrust of my campaign. Thank you.
Thank you. And I do apologize for pronouncing your last name incorrectly.
Well, everybody does, so don't worry about it.
Okay, next we'll move into the questions, and we will begin our questions. Barry, you will go first. Question number 1. What should Congress do to ensure that we have secure elections while ensuring that the right to vote and to have every vote counted?
Okay. I believe that our elections have been secure in the past. The idea that they have not been secure was something promulgated by the Republican Party to try to shut down voter registration, early voting, to take away voting precincts in voting locations in minority neighborhoods. I think that the votes have been secure, and I think what we need to do is to make sure that the proposals to have the state legislatures override the votes in elections, that those need to be stopped right away. And a lot of Republicans are in favor of that. And we need to get rid of the lies, like that Trump won the election. That is an out and out lie. And we need to have people in Congress who will say that is a lie. And I think that we need to make sure the people we vote for election officials are committed to making sure that everyone can vote and counting the votes fairly. And I'm not sure that that's the case in every state and in every place in the country.
Thank you for your answer. Susan?
Okay, so I think that there's a lot of fraud in our election system. I don't know, I'm not going to go so far as to say that Trump won, because I can't say that. But I would say that I've experienced fraud myself. And so I know it exists. And I've seen so many different ways of voting from various parts of the country. I've voted, all the way from Switzerland. And so there's a lot of possibility for fraud. It's definitely happening. I think the only way we can do it now, we have to stop the process the way it is. We have to get rid of computers completely, go back to paper and pen. And what should happen is the town should know who's in their town. The town should, all the mayors should mail out election ballots to every adult citizen in that town. Then the person who is an adult citizen fills out their form. They have a month to return it to the town hall, to the mayor's office. And then all of those votes need to be counted by professional people who are being watched. I suggest having 10-year-olds in there because they're very honest, and have them watching the counting, because there's a lot of fraud going on. And the other thing of that is there's something called a provisional ballot, which one can do, which is a direct ballot. But apparently, even if you do that, if you go down wherever you have to go, I have to research it still. But if you go and you vote provisionally without registering, there's no guarantee they're going to count your vote, which is also unconstitutional. So we're doing a lot of unconstitutional things in our voting system. It's unconstitutional to make us register. It's unconstitutional to throw out a vote.
Thank you, Susan, for your answer. Question number 2, we will start with you, Susan. What should Congress do to ensure that we do not have another January 6th insurrection?
Listen to the people, I think. We're not listening enough to all the voices of the United States, period. I think we got to listen to our people. There are people who live in the city, and there are people who are living rural. I live in a very rural part of West Virginia, and trust me, there's no water, there's no sewage, there's lots of things missing, and a lot of luxuries. The roads are bad, we've got a lot of buildings that are just sitting there empty. So I think we got to start listening to everybody. There's a lot of poverty. We need to start working on that issue and bring people up. We need to train people to come out of poverty, give them free education to get out of it, teach them how to be responsible, and Yeah, I think that would help to stop insurrections.
Thank you, Susan, for your answer. Barry?
Well, the simple answer is to vote for Democrats. But it's more complicated than that. We need to figure out who these people are, and a lot of people need to go to jail. And we need to have better intelligence from the FBI. We need to make sure, I mean, the military and the police need to make sure that they don't have the white supremacist types who started the January 6th insurrection in their midst, that they are taken out. And I mean, taken out of their positions. I don't mean like taken out. We need to be very careful about who we elect. I think that's the main thing, because I think the previous president is largely responsible for the January 6th insurrection, and whether he's held to account for that or not, we need to get at the other groups that worked with him, and his attorneys, and make sure that that doesn't happen. And if we have to like protect the Capitol building when the next January 6th in 2025, then we'll need to do that. But we should be well prepared, and we need to make sure that the National Guard can come out, and the DC police, and that everyone in Congress is protected against that kind of thing. That's all I want to say about it right now.
Thank you for your answer. Question number 3, we'll start with you, Barry. Do you believe Joe Biden was legitimately elected president of the United States in 2020?
Yes, that's the short answer. And, you know, I understand, I live in Appalachia, and I know that in most of Western Pennsylvania and West Virginia, most of Kentucky, that people voted Republican, and they would say, well, I don't know anybody who voted for Joe Biden. But I lived in an apartment complex in Los Angeles that had more people than some of the counties in West Virginia. The big cities voted for Biden, and there's a lot more people there. And I absolutely believe it was a legitimate election, and that Joe Biden was elected. And I think this is the idea that he wasn't is a falsehood put forth by the very dangerous today Republican Party. That's it.
Thank you for your answer. Susan?
Well, considering that I think that the way we vote currently is unconstitutional, I'm going to say I don't know if he is the proper president. I'm going to say we maybe need to have the election all over again, because look, we've got computers which could have been hacked, and I mean, I don't know if you recall, but during the primaries, during the 2020 election, the Democrats were having problems with a lot of their machines, and all over the country. So you know, going with what I had already said, according to our Constitution, which I have right here, it states that nothing should prevent a U.S. citizen from voting. Nothing. I'm a U.S. citizen. You're a U.S. citizen. We're all U.S. citizens. Nothing. We do not have to register. We need our votes counted is what we need, period. So, yeah, I think there was definitely fraud. I know for a fact fraud goes on. It happened to me, and it's probably happening right now. So it doesn't matter how it happens. We need to go back to paper and pen so that we know who's voting and we have it official. Every U.S. citizen who is adult has a right to vote. They need a ballot sent to their home. Then they drive. Everybody's got a car or a way to get to the town hall. Or if they don't, then, you know, maybe we can hire Uber to pick up the people who can't get them there themselves. But we need a way to really go back to the basics, because adding computers, it's just mucking up. It's a middleman. Adding the post office, it's a middleman. We got to stop it.
Thank you for your answer. Question 4, we'll start with you, Susan. The realm of public policy is so vast that most members of Congress identify a few priorities to focus their attention on. If elected, What will your priorities for federal legislation be?
My priorities for federal legislation would be first, I think we need a mother's corps, quite possibly a parenting corps. I think we've got a lot of, well, I guess I have to start here. We've seen what happens when we take parents out of the home and have them work, and then the kids raise each other. And then there's a lot of bullying and cliques and sort of bad activity that goes on, and rapes and murders and all sorts of things. And we have to stop this. And what's needed is love. The children today are not getting enough love. We need to bring someone home. For me, I don't care if it's a male and a female in a married couple, or a single mom, or a gay couple, 2 men or 2 women. That doesn't matter. Love has to be in the home. A child needs love. We don't need another institution. We don't need to send kids to daycare or anything like that. The best daycare is a mother or a stay-at-home person, but they need to be paid, because we can no longer have them try to work and mother at the same time. It's too much. It's not working. We've seen what happens. We see shootings constantly. Kids going back and shooting up elementary schools. I mean, what is that? No other country has that on the planet. So we need to do something. It's a crisis. We need to start a woman's corps or a mother's corps. I don't know. I need to sit down with some legislatures. We need to iron this out, and we need to get it started ASAP. And we need training for these people. And then there will be a satellite person who gets an extra day off, who can spend time being that the satellite one who is around but also working. And therefore then the family unit's stronger. So I want to bring back family, and that's what we have to do. We got to bring back family.
Thank you for your answer. Barry?
Well, there's a few things. One thing I want is to do the things that will help people in West Virginia, which passed in the Democratic Congress with no help from the Republicans. And actually, we could bring back the extended child care tax credit, which took 40,000 children out of poverty in West Virginia and is now not there, but we could bring that back. That would be one thing. And also, we did pass to get the Black Lung Fund solvent by raising the tax on coal, to get veterans disability based on injuries from burn pits. We have done some of those things without Republican help. But that would be, my thing would be to help people in West Virginia, capping the price of insulin for everyone, not just for Medicare patients. That would be one thing, all of those. Another thing would be to make sure that our elections are free and fair and not partisan, not having Republican secretaries of state trying to interfere, or the former president trying to interfere, making sure that everyone can vote, overturning the Supreme Court's decision to gut the Voting Rights Act, and possibly in the future they might vote to end affirmative action, which would be wrong. Then also, we need to codify abortion in the United States Constitution, to say that abortion is legal the way it was before Roe versus Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court. Say that there's a national law, say that women have a right to their own health care and their own decisions about having and raising children. While we're at it, we could also codify same-gender marriage as a national thing.
Thank you for your answer. Question 5, we'll start with you, Barry. Given the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision, should Congress pass a federal law addressing access to abortion nationwide? Why or why not?
Congress should pass a federal law to address access to abortion nationwide, because it is a woman's right. She can confer with her partner, her family, her clergy, if she wants. And I'm going to include transgender people who have children, but who are able to carry children. But basically, women, yes, it is their choice whether or not to carry, to have a child, and it's part of healthcare. Jewish law says that it's a woman can have an abortion based on her health needs as she decides, and that includes mental health. And so I think we should consider that as a form of religious discrimination, to say, well, it has to be completely banned because my religion doesn't believe that. So I think we should have a nationwide law that says women can have abortions. If your religion says you can't have an abortion, don't have one. But everybody else should not have to abide by certain sects of Christianity, and not even all of Christianity, just to go by that. It should be allowed nationwide as it was before Roe versus Wade was overturned. Absolutely. Oh, we have company.
Thank you for your answer. Susan?
So for me, abortion it's clearly healthcare for women. And but I think it should not be used as birth control. And sadly, I think it was or has been under Roe v. Wade. It was possible to use it as birth control. And I think it was sadly being used that way. So what I do know is that women are US citizens. So we have complete control over our bodies. We can do whatever we want to our bodies. But what we cannot do is ask somebody to murder a baby. And that might have been also, apparently, there are partial births where abortions were being done. And I heard there were also births or abortions where the child was birthed and then left to die or something like that. So that is not acceptable. And that is how Roe v. Wade was allowing things to happen. So I like actually the new laws that we are getting here in West Virginia. We have the ability to get an abortion, but instead of doing it at a clinic where they don't have neonatal care, if you birth the baby, it becomes instantly a US citizen, and it has to be kept alive, regardless of how premature it is. But at the clinics, they didn't have the neonatal care. So now if you want an abortion in West Virginia, you have to go to a hospital where they have that facility. So instead of using the D&E operation, which is where they go in and they have to cut it up and pull the things out, that's also dangerous for the mother, the woman. So they've said no to that. You can still do the earlier abortion. The D&C is still possible. And that operation still happens, and it can happen at any time during a pregnancy or after birth. I had to have that because my, in German, it's a Muttersmal or something like that. I can't remember what it is.
Wrap up your sentence for me, please.
Okay. So anyways, the point is that abortion is still possible. You got to go to the hospital and get it done. You have to do it through your doctor. And no, it's health care, but it's not birth control. And there are more laws out there coming up. So our legislature is not done.
Thank you for your answer. Question 6, we will start with you, Susan. Given Justin Clarence Thomas's recent opinion in Dobbs that the Supreme Court might revisit other privacy rights, what do you see as Congress's role in addressing issues like the right to contraception, same-sex marriage, and interracial marriage?
Well, I think I like Barry's idea with codifying the same-sex marriage. I think that is something that should be codified. As far as the other things go, I think they can be left up to the states. I don't think race is as big of an issue as a lot of media makes it out to be. So I think that yeah, I think there might be in certain places racial tension, but I think in a lot of the country now, there is no racial tension. So, it's tricky because, yeah, so maybe it's better if the states deal with these issues. So whatever the federal government doesn't deal with, it goes to the states and they deal with it. So, maybe we have then states that are, that I don't know, where what would make a state be more one way or the other. But if there is a history of abuse, racial abuse or sexual orientation abuse, then maybe that state needs to have laws that are in place to help people to make life even. But I think overall, to say all over the United States that we're having these issues, I don't think a federal law needs to be made, no.
Thank you for your answer. Barry?
I think there does need to be a federal law about privacy rights. Thanks to what Clarence Thomas said, there should be a right to contraception. I'm old enough to remember when, if you were a teenager and you went to the drugstore, they had condoms behind the counter and you couldn't get them. If you were a teenager, they wouldn't give them to you. And if you could get one somehow, they said on them for disease prevention only, meaning you could not use them for birth control. That was illegal. I mean, that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. They do need to issue a right to contraception, just in case the Supreme Court, who knows what they're going to do. Same-sex marriage the same way. And I would even go with interracial marriage, although Clarence Thomas, as we all know, is in an interracial marriage, as is Mitch McConnell. So yeah, we do need to revisit privacy rights. We do need to say that there is an explicit right to privacy in terms of how you live your life. It's just that simple. That states do not have the right to infringe on that. And I'm waiting for West Virginia to say we can't have a same-sex marriage here. They were not happy when the Fourth Circuit said they had to recognize same-gender marriages like mine. I am in a same-gender marriage, and people were not happy about that. But I live here, and I have the right to have to live here with my husband. We're, as Susan said, we're Americans. We have certain rights, and we should have the right to marry. We should have the right to use contraception. We should have the right to marry who we love, whether it's the same gender or a different race or whatever it is. You have to come down. So that's my opinion on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Question 7, we'll start with you, Barry. Increasingly, questions are being raised about the Supreme Court becoming too political and losing legitimacy. The President's Commission has already studied numerous reforms that would be possible. What reforms, if any, would you support that are within Congress's jurisdiction?
That's a very good question. I've been asked this. I was at a forum Friday night in Grafton, and somebody asked me that. And I said, I don't think packing the court is a good idea, because if the Congress changes hands, the other party could further pack the court or change things. Since I'm going to be 73 on Friday, I didn't think that we should put age limits on things. I'm going to be a first-term congressman at 73. But I do think we could put a term limit on it. Say, even if it's like 18 years, say you can be on the court for 18 years and then you have to go off. That would take a while to take effect, but at least it's a start. And I think we also need to make sure that we have politicians in both the Senate and in the presidency who are honest and fair. For instance, not going to block somebody like Merrick Garland from even being talked about when the president nominated him. That should never have been allowed, and Congress should have put a stop to that right away. So that's my firm opinion on it. Yes, we have, I would say, term limits, and we need to have more conscientious presidents and speaker and Senate minority leaders. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. Susan?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Increasingly, questions are being raised about the Supreme Court becoming too political and losing legitimacy. The President's Commission has already studied numerous reforms that would be possible. What reforms, if any, would you support that are within Congress's jurisdiction?
Over the Supreme Court? Is that, I'm not sure if I'm understanding this correctly. So controls over the Supreme Court?
What reforms would you support that are within the Congress's jurisdiction?
Of the Supreme Court?
Yes.
Oh, truthfully, I think the Supreme Court is working just fine. I can't really say that anything needs to be done there. So I think you know, we need to just go forward. I have nothing specific that I would change.
Okay, great. Thank you for your answer. Question 8, we will start with you, Susan. How should Congress address immigration across the southern border? In particular, how should we be managing undocumented immigrants versus asylum seekers?
Well, the real problem is the Native American reservations. They are not putting up any walls, so we have open borders. How can we stop it? I'm not sure. Maybe they need to also be asked to participate. My thing is, you know, it's not normal that people walk through 10 countries for asylum. I mean, if you walk through one country, you have asylum, right? So why should somebody walk through 10? That's not asylum seeking. So, you know, we have to question, why are these people coming so far? And, you know, what is really behind all this? I think that certain people definitely should be sent back to their countries, especially if they're like that, who claim that they're asylum seeking, but they didn't stop at the first country. That's not asylum seeking, that's something else. I think we need to really maybe set up stop points where people will have to fill out documents, and then they have to, you know, wait at the border, but we've already got that, right? So that's somehow not working, but is it really? Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been to the border, so I can't tell you more. But I think we need to work with the reservations and see what they can do, if they can help out. It is a problem, but how big of a problem it is, I don't know, because I've never been down to that area. I don't know.
Thank you for your answer. Barry?
Well, I think we need to take a humane approach, that these are human beings and they deserve respect just for that. Undocumented immigrants versus asylum seekers, I'm not sure they're different categories. Some people just come here for economic benefits because they can make a living here. I understand that. And people seeking asylum are running away from a bad situation in their country. And there's a lot of that in Central America. And those countries are very dangerous right now. And we need to, I think mostly we need to have more people working for immigration who can handle the caseloads of people coming in asking for asylum. And people shouldn't have to wait in Mexico for a year to get a hearing on an asylum claim. They should be able to be here. Their cases should be heard promptly. I think also we need to look at who's being sent back. I mean, why are people from Haiti being sent back? Haiti is a country that's in extreme distress. It's been for a long time, and those people don't get a lot of help, and it's risky for them to come here. But I think there's a little bit of race involved in that. People from Venezuela, they have economic issues. They could probably go to another country in South America, as Susan said. Maybe a lot of them have gone to Colombia and are doing better there. But I think the basic thing is we have to have more people working to process asylum cases, and have people to be able to document why they're here. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. Question 9, we'll start with you, Barry. While it lasted, the child care tax credit was successful in lifting tens of thousands of West Virginia children and their families out of poverty. Do you support Congress enacting a permanent child care tax credit? Please explain.
Okay, well, I already talked about this a little bit. It did lift tens of thousands of West Virginia children and their families out of poverty. It wasn't, the regular tax credit is for people who are working and not making a lot of money to get a credit on their taxes. This extended tax credit could go to anyone, whether they were working or not. It could go to grandparents who were taking care of their grandchildren, which is very common in West Virginia, especially with the opioid epidemic, where parents cannot deal with their kids and they go to the grandparents. It did help the grandparents. And I know that Senator Manchin said they were spending this on booze and lottery tickets and stuff, but actually, when they did a survey, they were buying clothes for school for the kids. They were buying school supplies. They were getting them into ballet classes and doing extracurricular things. They're really helping the children. And I think that's the critical issue. And this is one of the things that the Congress could do to really help people in West Virginia. We have the highest rate of poverty in the country, and we could certainly cut that by taking that money and making sure that people taking care of children have the means to take care of them, but also cut down on the abortion rate if that's something, which is something we all want to do. So yeah, I definitely support it, and it should happen. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. Susan?
Okay, so you have to pay taxes to get advantage from the tax credit, right? So if you're somebody who doesn't pay taxes, whether you're not making any money or whatever, then there's no benefit for you, is there? So I think that we really need to start paying someone to stay at home to take care of their child, because there's no better child care than the own parent, than the mother or father, or it could also be eventually like a family member, but really there's no better childcare than a parent. So we need to redo the whole system. Giving out vouchers for things, that's peanuts. That's not doing anything, and it's cheap. We have how many layers of military, and we pay so much money for all this protection, but yet we can't pay women to do what we do naturally, raise children, give birth to them, and all sorts of other things. We pay men to do the most masculine thing they can do, which is defend and protect, right? So come on now, it's time we start just paying people and stop with all these like tax credits and stuff, because it doesn't reach everyone. Mother's pay is what we need.
Thank you for your answer. Question 10, we'll start with you, Susan. The lack of affordable childcare limits the ability of many families to work. What should Congress do to make high-quality, affordable childcare more available for West Virginia families?
Well, I think I just explained it in the last one, but yeah, mother's pay. Okay, it's time to pay us what we should do. There's no better place for a child to grow up than in a loving home. And right now we got parents that are so stressed out. They either don't have children, wait until they're very, until they're older to have them. And then for a lot of women, by the time they decide they're at a safe place to have children, it's too late. They don't have any eggs left. And then to get fertilized through artificial means, that's like $20,000 each time. So, it's just a terrible cycle we have right now. Women start producing eggs at the age of 13. Men and women are not the same. Boys and girls are not the same. We need to rethink of this whole situation. I need a group of people working with me, and we got to get this organized and we got to get it through. It's time to pay women to stay home see being a mother as a career. We see being a soldier as a career, protecting and police as a career. So why don't we see mother as a career? Caregiver is a career choice. Staying at home and raising kids is a career choice. You can do it. There's the active time where you're definitely really have to be around. And then when you have teenagers, then you just have to be available. And then you can also venture off and further your education. And then it's also great training being a mother. You know, you are a leader, you learn how to negotiate, you learn how to crisis management, and then you're ready to go when your kids are into their 20s. Then that's the time where you can really blossom into the work world.
You have
But
15
it's time to
seconds.
stop looking at motherhood as a bad thing. It's a great thing. It's great training, and we need to be paid for it.
Awesome. Thanks for your answer.
So it's up to me.
Barry,
Well-
yes.
Yeah. Well, I just remember that my own mother, I have a younger sister, and as soon as she was toilet trained, she was in nursery school and my mother went to work. And she made it very clear that was her path. And my sister also had a child late, her choice, and continued to work when she had the child. Her husband stayed home, was home during the day, which helped. He had a job at night, so they could trade off. But I would say if we wanted to do what Susan suggests, which is have mothers or someone in the house to raise the children, I would suggest that we would have to raise the minimum wage to probably double what it is now, if not more than that. Would probably have to be $25 an hour minimum wage, and then possibly people could stay home. One parent could work and another parent could stay home. That was the case for most of my friends in the 50s and 60s. They had mothers who stayed home. I didn't. But I think to make it high quality, affordable childcare more available, there should be like a degree program, even if it's a 2-year college degree, to be a childcare person and have an investigation into them, and then make sure that they are paid. And if it's paid through the federal government, fine. Then that's the way it should be. We could do that. We have, people say, Alex Mooney's always crying about, oh, what about the federal deficit? And but there's plenty of money in the United States, and if we taxed very rich people, we could pay childcare workers enough to make that a career, and that would help. Otherwise, we should raise the minimum wage to make sure that a parent could stay home if they actually wanted to in the United States. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. Question 11, we'll start with you, Barry. What measures would you like to see Congress pass to encourage sustainable energy development?
Okay, well, we need to subsidize solar panels. I mean, we could have put them on our house, but they said it would take 15 years to pay that back. And I'm 73. I don't want to wait till I'm 88 to make the money back. So we didn't do it. We could have we need new windows in our house for insulation, and we haven't done that because it's a lot of money. I think that that's one thing that could be subsidized, helping people to climate proof their houses. Putting in solar. I think we have to stop subsidizing the coal industry. There's a bill in the West Virginia legislature to subsidize some big coal company. We need to really get away from that. There's a bill to allow you a credit for buying an electric vehicle, a used electric vehicle or a hybrid. That would be a good thing, but if you're driving an old clunker that you paid $500 for, because that's what you can afford, you're not going to be able to put out several $1,000s for an electric vehicle. Still, it could be a start to subsidize electric cars, hybrid cars. That would be a start. And also to not give out federal land or offshore lands for oil drilling. That would be helpful. I think we have to find a way. I mean, I was on Morgantown City Council and I noticed we have new city lights that are energy saving. We had a study done by a graduate student of how to save energy in our office buildings, and we implemented that. Took save energy and also to cut the tax bill for our people, that we weren't spending so much money. I think there's a lot that can be done. And that's about it. Thanks.
Thank you for your answer. Susan?
So I think solar is a good way to go. I was at a forum, I don't know, like a couple of weeks ago at the university, and I talked about the possibility of putting solar panels above all these parking lots that we have. We have tons of parking lots just sitting out there that create a lot of heat. And if we could cover them somehow, or I mean, I would suggest putting them under the buildings, but at this point it's sort of too late for that. So we got these big parking lots that need shade. And so we need to cover them possibly with solar panels to create energy and to create shade. And then when you park your car and you have to, you know, after an hour of shopping or whatever, and you go to leave, your car is not super hot. So again, you don't use as much gas, you don't use as much, create as much heat and so on, and pollution, right? So that is one way. I would also suggest that we plant trees in these locations too, to give off some oxygen and to help catch the carbon. But then all these stoplights we can get rid of half of them and turn them into circles, not giant speed bumps like I've seen some of the circles that I've seen here. It should have, you know, you have to go around the circle, not through it. So, but we could really cut out a lot of street lights. We don't need that. We can keep traffic moving, and therefore, you know, that's a lot of saved electricity. Then the other thing, apparently there's a way to turn the old cars into hybrid vehicles. So we need to train maybe a lot of our out of work coal miners and other people how to do this trade. And then we can upgrade all the cars and have hybrid cars all over West Virginia and the USA.
Thank you. Thank you for your answers. Are there any additional questions? That would be Vicky. Are there any additional questions?
I don't believe there are, Anitra.
Okay, great. But we'll move into the closing statements. We thank both of our candidates tonight for answering the questions. Both of you guys did an awesome job. With the closing statements, each of you have 1.5 minutes to wrap up and just give us any closing statements that you would like to share with us on tonight. And we'll begin with Susan.
Okay, well, first off, I want to say thank you. I'm really happy that I could be here, and thanks for organizing this. It's been a wonderful experience. And yeah, I'm just thrilled that I could be here. Thank you. Then I am Susan Buchser-Lochoki. I am running for U.S. House of Representatives in the newly formed West Virginia's 2nd District, because, yeah, it's newly formed because we lost some people, so it's time to bring people back. And I am a write-in. I'm not officially Republican or Democrat or Green Party or Libertarian or anything else. I'm independent. So you'll have to write me in, and you just have to do your best. So it's Susan Buchser-Lochoki, and write me in. Even those who have dyslexia, do your best to get it close. But my last thing that I want to say is I also want to not only bring back family, but upcycle the military into a defensive, protective military, and get everybody involved. I think we're misunderstanding our Constitution a little bit. So we need to relook really into the wording and what we're supposed to be doing. So anyway, I am supposed to be, as a House of Representatives, somebody who really looks at the details. I'm doing my best to do that. I think we're doing some things wrong. We need to change a few things, but I think it's not too late. So I think as long as we can head ourselves in the right direction and bring back family and bring back upcycling of the military into a peaceful military, I think we'll be battling, you know, half the battle is done. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Susan. And we appreciate your comments And we appreciate you being with us on tonight. Barry?
Thank you. This has been great. I'm really glad I was able to do this and that Susan was able to do this. Alex Mooney hasn't shown up anywhere in the district. He's the Republican candidate, and I hate to even mention him. He has done nothing for West Virginia. He has not shown up anywhere. He has more counties than he had before, but he hasn't been anywhere to show them we're done anything for our state. I'm concerned that if the Democrats do not hold the House, that I don't know what's going to happen. If they could overturn everything in the Constitution. They could just automatically decide that Donald Trump is the president. They could try to impeach Joe Biden. They could overturn any rights that we have in this country. They could say, well, the state legislature has the power to decide who wins an election, and not the voters, but the state legislature, which is gerrymandered in a lot of states, including this one. It's just a very scary scenario, and I'm hoping that we can stay with the Democratic House. I'm willing to help with that. I'm anxious to help with that. We need to have a Democratic House. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to help people in West Virginia. That means extended child care tax credit, benefits for veterans, benefits for coal miners, infrastructure, broadband internet, bridges, roads, all of that. I'm willing to help West Virginia get all of that done. And my opponents are not. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Again, we want to thank both of our candidates tonight for showing up, answering the questions. We thank you both for participating. Again, the League of Women Voters have done a tremendous job of putting this forum together. It was a bit more challenging this year because they tried to show impartiality, and with that, we had to cancel some of the forums. We do believe that to truly educate our people, it is important to show both sides of the fence, and we were not able to do that this year. But we do encourage everyone to look up each candidate that is running. We stand firmly upon the principle that it is your vote, but it is our future. So please go out to vote. Don't forget to vote on November 8th. It is 22 days away. For more information, you can go to westvirginiavote.com. Tomorrow is the deadline to register to vote. Please encourage all your friends and loved ones. Election date is on November 8th. Early voting, again, is October 26th through November 5th. The locations within Morgantown, Monongalia County that will house early voting will be at the Mason-Dixon Park, Mountaineer Mall, and Earth Dodge dealership. The Westover VFW is not a voting site this year. So please go out, early vote. We cannot stress that enough. Your voice is heard by showing up at the poll and casting your vote. We thank you for tuning in tonight. Again, we thank our candidates for participating tonight, and we wish both of you well in your race, and we wish both of you luck. And should either one of you win, we're NAACP as well as the League of Women Voters. We're here to advance the cause. So thank you for tuning in tonight. And again, we'll be here on tomorrow, October 18th. We will be doing Senate District 2 with Charles Clements and Eric Hayhurst, and Senate District 13 with Barbara Evans Fleshauer and Mike Oliverio. So we wish everyone a good evening and have a good night.
Thank you.
Night.